I want to say thank you for everybody. This is the Discover Macomb Arts and Sciences hosted by Macomb Community College. My name is Patrick Jacobs. I'm an admissions and outreach coordinator for Macomb Community College. Also with us today, we have Daryl Singleton and Samantha Hall, who will be assisting us behind the scenes. So thank you, Samantha and Daryl. What we're going to be covering today is why choose Macomb. We're going to review the arts and science program in more detail. We have a questions and answer session for you, and then we're going to wrap up and talk about our next steps. So why choose Macomb? We have over 200 programs offered at 4 convenient campus locations, small class sizes from in-person to online. We have athletics to student life, connecting students to campus activities. We offer cost-efficient options and can help you leave debt-free. From transfer programs and articulation agreements to 12 college partnerships located at our university center, we have many resources to help you succeed, including the Michigan Transfer Agreement. Did you know that you can satisfy the requirements for the Michigan Transfer Agreement just by taking classes through our Arts and Science Department? The MTA is a universal agreement between participating Michigan colleges and students who complete at least 30 credit hours in select arts, sciences, and humanity courses. By earning a GPA of 2.0 or better in each of the courses, you can transfer all 30 credits, no matter what program you're pursuing. You can take courses just for the Michigan Transfer Agreement, or you can pair it with an associate's degree. We have multiple different pathways to get you where you want to go. We have short academic certificates to associate's degrees. Even if you're undecided, we have resources that can help you decide. Our pathways can lead you to today's most in-demand professions and advanced degrees. We have several events throughout the year. Here are just a few of our upcoming events. If you're interested in registering for any of the events, you can scan the QR code found at the bottom of the screen, or you can go to www.macomb.edu/admissions events to register. Now, I'd like to introduce Dr. Angie Williams-Shamati, the Associate's Dean of our Arts and Science Department.
Hello. Welcome and thank you for joining us at Discover Macomb. We're excited to have you here and share all the information about Macomb. One way we're going to do that is a short video.
At Macomb Community College, we're committed to helping you discover your passion and gain the confidence to move forward.
Through Macomb's arts and science classes, I got to explore my interests and discover the right career path for me.
From biology, history, and math, to pre-social work, speech communication, and everything in between, we know you'll find a program that sparks your interest while meeting your general education requirements. And thanks to our extensive transfer-friendly options, we can make your transition to a 4-year school smooth and easy. Our participation in the Michigan Transfer Agreement means you can transfer 30 credits toward your general education requirements at participating colleges and universities. Our hands-on, interactive, and engaging classes are taught by world-class faculty in small groups. And did you know that many of our classes are identical to the ones taught at universities? So you can take the same class here, but at a fraction of the cost. And our classes are designed around your busy schedule: daytime, part-time, on campus, and online. Learn from anywhere, while still having the same access to our faculty and breadth of resources. Let's take a closer look at just a few of the exciting programs we offer. Our math program is focused on you, with classes taught by faculty dedicated to teaching, not research. Thinking about a career in engineering? Our pre-engineering program will introduce you to the many exciting careers and specializations you can pursue with an associate degree or beyond. Learn about the biological, cognitive, socio-emotional, and social development through all stages of adult life in our pre-psychology program. And it can be completed 100% online.
So psychology is so important, and quite honestly, it goes well with any discipline out there. Since we study how people think and behave, no matter what discipline or what major students choose, psychology will be a great complement to their education.
Interested in a career helping others become their best selves? Our pre-social work program is a great first step toward a rewarding and enriching career path. Through our engaging coursework, you'll develop the skills necessary to transfer to a Bachelor of Social Work program. With specializations in intercultural and interpersonal communication or mass media and public relations, our Speech Communication Arts program will give you both the confidence and skills necessary to communicate with others. Want to explore the globe and learn about different cultures? Our International Studies courses will introduce you to a world of possibilities. And our study abroad opportunities offer trips to Spain, Mexico, Italy, and more.
I have students that come to me after 1 or 2 years of their trip, and they thank me for introducing them not only to their best friend, but also to a new culture.
Want to become a musician or singer? Our Music Performance Certificate program might just be your ticket to become the next American Idol contestant. And if you join the Macombers, our college show choir, you'll be performing in front of audiences statewide. With so much available to you, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by starting your college journey here at Macomb. Open a world of possibilities today and secure your tomorrow with confidence.
Okay, next I'd like to introduce the people who make all of that happen. So we have our fearless leader, Dr. Marie Pritchett. She is the Dean of Arts and Sciences. We have Randy Young, who's Associate Dean of Science. He couldn't make it tonight. Myself, Dr. Angie Williams-Shamani. I'm an Associate Dean of Social Sciences. We have Dr. Annette Tornello. She's Associate Dean of Communications and Humanities, and Lisa McMillan, who is Associate Dean of Math. I'd also like to introduce some of our faculty who are going to answer questions you may have. They're also going to introduce themselves. So we have Rihanna Almouche of English, Chad Buruto of Math, Mary Jo Burkhart of Biology, Michael Plako of History, and Rebecca West with Geography. So we'll start off with some questions that I have for each person. So I will ask them each the same question and they'll all go through and answer. So the first one is Rihanna. Could you introduce yourself, what classes you teach, and why you choose your particular field?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Rihanna Amalsh, and I'm an English professor here at Macomb. I teach literature and composition and writing classes. And actually, our department is starting an English program this fall, in fall of 2022, in which students can actually earn an Associate of Arts degree in English before they transfer to their next university, which is pretty exciting for our department. And so why did I choose this particular field? Well, this might seem a little bit cliche, but I've always loved reading and writing, even since I was a kid. And that could be because I didn't have the internet back then. That could be part of that. But I loved reading and using stories as a way to escape. And I would write and kind of create my own stories and direct my own plays with my cousins and my friends. But it really wasn't sealed, like totally locked in, until I had a really inspiring English teacher at Warren Mott High School, which is local. I might have some Warren Mott Marauders here in the meeting tonight. But she really taught me that stories, even if they're fiction, are a portal to sort of learning about people and their experiences in different places all around the world. And then I actually came to Macomb Community College. And I came in my first year, I had another English teacher who sort of expanded on the idea about stories as a way to learn about people and their experiences, and taught me that writing was a way for me to kind of engage in that storytelling process and talk about my experiences in our little corner of the world here in Warren, Michigan. So that pretty much sealed the deal for me. And I was lucky enough to actually come back full circle and be able to teach here at Macomb in the end. So thanks, and I'll pass the baton here to Chad.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chad Bruda, just like the Chad and Brad. I am a Chad. A little bit to introduce myself. I like playing hockey. I've played hockey since I was a kid. Believe it or not, I am actually, and I don't know if my other colleagues know this as well, I'm actually a first generation. My dad was born in 1948 in Germany and then came over here in 1950. So I'm a first generation. Another thing also too, is I love the show, The Office, as I hope many of you guys do as well. And actually last week I was in a bar trivia for The Office and we won first place. So yay. This is what class I teach for this semester. I am teaching beginning algebra, which is our Math 70 course, 2 of those. Intermediate algebra, which is our Math 1000, 2 of those as well. Then also a pre-calculus 1 and 3 of those. So it's a total of 7 classes there. Other classes that I have taught is our Math 50 class, which is our fundamentals of mathematics. Math 70, as I've said before, which is the beginning algebra. Math 1000, which I also said, which is our intermediate algebra. Also Math 1100, which is our everyday math. Math 1370, which is our calculus for business and social sciences. Math 1415, as I said before, which is our pre-calculus 1. Math 1760, which is calculus 1, and Math 1770, which is calculus 2. So there's quite a bit there. But also too, how I got into my particular field. My story isn't the same as Rihanna there, where her field kind of called her. For me, actually, when I was going to high school and in my beginning years of college, I kind of idolized what my uncle did. My uncle was a doctor. Some of you guys might know him, Peter Baruta. He's an orthopedic surgeon, foot specialist. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into medicine. So I went to Wayne State, went into like the pre-med program and figured that's what I was going to do. And as time went on, unfortunately, I didn't get the grades that I wanted. I had to drop some classes. I flunked out of some classes. I am not this like miracle story of I just aced everything. I was just kind of going through things as I feel like an average student would. My GPA was a 3.0, so it wasn't anything crazy high. I wasn't a 4.0 student. As time went on, things just kind of didn't work out for me. When I was going through though, I noticed that a lot of people who went into pre-med, they chose a biology or a chemistry degree. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to work in a lab if things didn't work out for going into medicine. So because my dad was an engineer, I just kind of chose math classes and just kind of stuck with it. There at Wayne State, there were, at the time, I don't know if there is now, there was no pre-med degree. So you had to choose something. So I just chose to go into math because I just took a lot of the courses. So anyways, I was applying to med schools. I wasn't getting in. And at the end of getting my bachelor's at Wayne State, I was dating this girl and she said that she needed help in her math class. And she knew that I had a math degree or was working on my math degree. And she said that they needed a tutor for the class. So I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. I think that'd be fun. I know the subject. I've taken a lot of classes on it. I went to do that. I loved it. After doing that and after like tutoring, I decided that, well, this is a field that I would actually like to go into. So then I went to get my master's. I had to be a professor here, you need to have your master's. So I went to get my master's. And with my bachelor's, normally it takes 4 years. For me, it took 6.5. And to get my master's, usually it takes 2. For me, it took 1. When you really kind of find what you want to do, things kind of end up lining up for you. And I was very appreciative for, everything that I kind of went through there, because a lot of times when I was going through, and maybe this is how a lot of you guys are, is that it kind of feels like sometimes there's not a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know where the tunnel is. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where I'm going to go, what I'm going to go into. I kind of like this. I kind of like that. And that's fine. That's kind of how a lot of my road was. I remember when I was going through that, when I got about halfway through my bachelor's, it was like, man, I still got more classes. I thought I've done all this stuff, but just keep going through. And I'm very happy where I was able to end up here. This is my dream career, and I didn't even know it was going to be that until I got into it. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So anyways, sorry to take up all the time here, but anyways, to show her side, Mary Jo, you are next, my dear.
Thanks, Ted. My name is Mary Jo Burchart. I teach biology classes at Center Campus. The class, and I'm a new full-time faculty, though I've been working as an adjunct at Macomb since 2013. But I've been teaching biology classes since I graduated from college more than a minute ago. We'll just leave it at that. When my pathway is kind of like Chad's, where I really was good in math and I really loved to write. So Rihanna, I started out as an English major. I wanted to do journalism and I loved to write. Growing up, I loved to write. And what happened was when I got into a journalism class, I didn't like to write anymore because I was having to write what someone else told me in a certain number of words. And I found that so incredibly confining that I'm like, no, I can't do this. So I also was really good in math. So I was like, okay, maybe I'd like accounting. Lisa, Chad, sorry, but I took an accounting class and went, oh, there's just no way. I could not sit and crunch numbers, on a spreadsheet all day. But I always loved biology, but it was so hard for me. Even in high school, I really enjoyed the class, but the amount of work and it didn't come easily for me. As I was going through high school, getting ready for college, I didn't even entertain the notion of biology because of, again, it not being easy for me. But once I got into the sciences, especially biology, and I liked chemistry as well, the passion that I had, my love for it really helped me overcome the difficulty. I had to learn ways to learn things, that some of my student friends didn't have to do. But, I bring that to the table too when I'm teaching my students, whether I'm teaching anatomy and physiology, which is, it's a lot of work, or nutrition. I try to bring those little, not cheats, but these little tricks that I had to learn how to memorize things or figure out how to process information. So I like to bring that to the table when I'm teaching. So as I mentioned, I teach anatomy and physiology and I teach nutrition. I have taught other biology classes at other campuses, but that's what I've been teaching as a full-time instructor here, because I love the human body and how it works. Just understanding that we're made up of trillions of cells and all these cells have to work right for us to work right, I just find to be immensely fascinating. And so with anatomy and physiology, I'm teaching students how to learn the parts and how to learn how we work. But then I love to tag that with nutrition, because in nutrition, you're learning about the fuel, which is food, treating food as a fuel for your body so that it can do all the things that it needs to do. Those are my favorites. I have taught microbiology. I have taught environmental science, but I'm not currently teaching those. But I really love biology. And I got my degree from Oakland University, which is close by. And I started out in community college. And I was the first person in my immediate family to go to college. So if there are those of you here who, nobody in your family has gone to college and you don't have that support system, like if students have had family go to college, there is the resource to go to say, hey, what do I do about this? Or, hey, what do I do about that? And it is more difficult when you don't have someone at home that you can ask those questions of. But I will tell you, there's a lot of support on campus, lots of support on campus. So if you're in that boat, there are different ways that you can get any of the help you need, whether it's with financial aid or anything like that. I know that the different departments are very helpful. And I started in community college. I really am glad that I did, because a lot of students, myself included at the time, thought I got good grades in high school, so I really thought I was good to go for college. And when I got to college, realized I really didn't have too many study skills, and the community college environment, smaller classes, get to know the teachers, the instructors better, get to really learn in a less stressful format, I guess is the best way to put that. And really allowed me to learn and not fall on my face. It's more affordable, and it's a good way to get started. It's a good stepping stone to before you move on to 4-year, if that is your goal. But anyway, so that's me in a nutshell, and I'm going to pass it on to Mike from history.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary Jo. Wow, I work at a pretty cool place, and I work with some pretty cool people. I'm glad everyone tuned in and joined up with us tonight. I want to introduce myself real quick. My name is Mike Placco, and I do teach history. I teach online. I teach at Center Campus, and this is kind of fudging the numbers here a little bit. Sorry, Chad, with the math. We'll call this like year 20. So I've been here a while, but I'm still having a lot of fun, and I love what I do. Specific courses that I teach American history. I teach the first half of American history, the Abraham Lincoln half of American history. And then, of course, I do the more modern half of American history. So I do, both the early and the modern sides of American survey. They're very fun. I have a lot of fun with them. And then I also teach Michigan history too, which, as I'll tell you later, is kind of a weird thing that I am teaching Michigan history because I'm not from around these parts. I have had a very different journey getting here, very odd journey. I've been around quite a bit. If you haven't been able to tell, and I'm hiding it, I'm trying to do my best hiding it. I'm an East Coast guy, so I'm coming to you not from the Midwest, rather I'm coming to you guys originally from Brooklyn, New York, and then I later wound up in Queens, New York. So, I'm a stranger out this way, but again, I've been here 20 years and it's fun. Now, as far as history, what got me into history? I can't sing, I can't dance, and I don't know math. So, that might be my answer. But no, I was very, very fortunate growing up as a kid that I was in New York. I mean, history is everywhere. Even so, it's a drive away, an hour or two drive away. But, my grandparents basically got elementary school educations. My grandparents had, second grade educations at best. My parents only finished high school at that and then went right off into the workforce. So I am a first generation college student. And even though my parents did not, go to college themselves, they still knew that, that's the ticket, that's the key. And so God bless them. They did a very wonderful job. I was very fortunate that I had the parents that I did growing up because they exposed me to absolutely everything. And what they did not deliberately expose me to in terms of history, it was surrounding me anyway. So, both sides of my family, immigrant backgrounds. I heard a lot of stories of the old country. Both sides of the family were very much involved in the war. My father's father was one of 13. My father's mother was one of 12. Very large Italian Catholic families, and all the boys served in the war, and then all the girls stayed at home. On my mother's side, her father was a chief welder on the USS Missouri, one of the most infamous ships in American history. And my mother's entire side of the family, they worked as basically Rosie the Riveters. They worked for a while welding. They worked for a while in a brass factory in Connecticut. So, it's whenever the relatives would get together, I'd hear stories of, this one in the Pacific, this one over in Germany. I would hear stories about what it was like getting through the war. And, the funny stories too, that there was that. My dad is a Vietnam veteran, so I got to hear his very cynical stories, those that he chose to share about his service in Vietnam. My mom was at Woodstock. So, that's a very different sort of thing. But my mom told me about, the age of Aquarius I get. So, I have a father that's in Vietnam. I have a mother that's dancing around in a field in upstate New York. So, I was very lucky to have, a family that was very rich with history, and I was very blessed and I paid attention. The other thing too, living in New York, it's traffic. It's really tough getting places, but you have within a couple hours drive of you all sorts of historical sites, which my parents took me to. So, I got to see the actual Salem, Massachusetts from the Salem witchcraft trials, which I actually talked about this morning in one of my classes. My parents would take me down to, different parts of like New Jersey and Pennsylvania to visit like Amish communities or battlefields or whatnot. So, I mean, that was definitely a learning experience. And then also maybe definitely another thing that got me into history, got me thinking that way. I don't know if you guys saw that movie Selma that came out a few years ago, or you guys know the story of, Martin Luther King's march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Well, I mean, that's a great story. That's a wonderful event in American history tinged with sadness. But if you guys know of that event, or if you guys saw that movie, I am related. In fact, she's my aunt. I'm related to the Caucasian woman that is featured in that movie, of which she gets like a little epilogue at the end of the story. So I'm related to Viola Liuzzo, who was actually a sociology student from here. She was the first one before we came out here to be out here, not New York. But if you guys know of her story, if you saw the movie, she decided after Bloody Sunday that she wanted to get in her car right after her night classes at Wayne State University. And she drove all the way heck down to Selma, Alabama. And in 6 days of being there, she marched with King over the bridge. She heard all the speeches. And then unfortunately, if you saw the movie, you know the story itself, she was murdered. Okay. People apparently down there did not like a Northerner being down there and, helping people embrace their civil rights. So, I mean, she had been passed. She was gone way before I was born, but I still got to hear many, many stories from my father's family about Aunt Viola, Aunt Vi, and just how she was totally a frame out of sync for the time. So, between what my parents exposed me to, where I had the fortune of growing up at, and then certainly having a relative who was so connected with the civil rights movement, I mean, I don't think I had a chance. So I got into history, and I love history, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So again, I do want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight, and hopefully you guys, we see you all in the fall or maybe the summer. But now I will turn it over to my compadre, my big sister. I'll turn it over to Rebecca West, who teaches geography. It's all you, Rebecca.
Great. Thank you, Placo. That was awesome. And I didn't know some of those things about you. That was so interesting. So actually, all of my colleagues. So get to know each other a little bit better here, which is fun. So my name is Rebecca West. West is a great last name if you teach geography. It's usually pretty easy to associate me and my subject area. But I teach both at Center Campus and South Campus. I get a chance to float around to both campuses. My office is at South, but I do try to get to both campuses each year if I'm able to. In geography, we are not a huge department. I am the only full-time geographer, but I have 6 amazing adjunct faculty that also teach alongside me, and we have a really great time. There's 4 courses that we offer in geography, and I'm going to tell you just a little bit about each of the classes real quick, because what I find is that when I tell people I teach geography, they think there's just not that much to say about maps. Geography is a lot more than that. And so I got to just tell you a little bit about each class, and then you'll kind of get the idea of what all is involved in geography. So like I said, we have 4 classes in geography. The first is Principles of Geography. It is Geography 1100. If you're signing up for classes in spring, summer, or fall, you could consider this one. It's a split between the physical sciences and the social sciences. And so it's going to cover things like weather and climate, but also earthquakes and biomes. And then about halfway in the middle of the semester, we switch it over and we talk about culture and language and religion. And those are all various topics in geography. And so you get a real broad view of the world with all these different topics. Another class that we offer is Michigan Geography. And Placo, I bet we have a few things that probably overlap here between your Michigan history. Yeah, pull your map out, right? We can all do that for Michigan. But Geography 1500, again, touches on those broad topics in geography in both the physical and the social areas, but it also gets into some of the environmental issues as well, Mary Jo, that you probably bring up when you're teaching environmental science. But specifically, we're going to be looking at the issues that impact the Great Lakes, and then, of course, issues that impact Michigan specifically. And it's a great course. And I find that a lot of teachers end up coming back to get, additional credits and things. They'll sometimes sign up for that one. And it works really well for them in their classes as well. Another of the 4 classes we have here, the third one is physical geography. It's Geography 1800. It's solely physical. So you're going to get into mapping there. You're going to get into atmospheric situations, climate change, aquatic systems, glaciers, volcanoes, kind of a whole variety of things there in the physical world. And then the 4th class that we offer in geography is Geography 2000. It's World Regional Geography. And guys, this one's my favorite. I love this one. I teach as many sections of this one as I can. And what we do here is we don't take the world in topics. We actually take the world in regions. And so, of course, we all know there's 7 continents. Here, I'm not going to give you a geography lesson tonight, but 7 continents, and we take those 7 continents and we split them up into regions. And so we'll study North America, and then we'll study Middle America and South America. And then we'll get to Africa and we'll say, well, let's study the northern portion of Africa. Let's study the sub-Saharan portion of Africa. We split up Asia into all kinds of parts: East Asia and South Asia and Southeast Asia and Southwest Asia. And there's reasons we split them up. And a lot of them have to do with those topics that we already talked about with the physical landscapes and also the social things. Sometimes it comes down to, hey, a region is split because culturally there's huge differences. And that's absolutely my favorite class, probably because I really feel like every class in World Regional Geography is like going on vacation. So each week we walk into class, we talk about an area, and we talk about the science, the sciencey things that we need to get talking about. But we also get to talk a lot about the tourist attractions and what draws people to the area, things you might not, that maybe aren't as safe or that are more exciting. I'll warn you though, it's actually probably the most expensive class because you walk away from it with this very long geographic bucket list of places that you want to go to, and your budget might not be afford all the places that you decide you want to go check out in this beautiful world that we call home by the time the class is done. But that's my favorite one. But really, they're all great classes and a lot more than just maps. Geography is really a very, very broad area. So the last question I think that I have to talk about is why I chose my field. And I'll tell you that I think I was born a geographer. From some of my earliest memories are taking road trips with my parents. And I think my dad did not want to hear the question, are we there yet? And so he got me an atlas. And y'all, I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I've got this atlas of the United States in my lap. And my dad would ask me questions, hey, how long do you think it's going to take us to get to here? What's the next city? What's the next big interstate we're going to see? And he taught me to read a map in real time and made me really get interested in, well, what were all these dots on the map? And where did all these roads go and where did they take me? And then I got into college. And I had to take a geography class. It was a requirement. And I sat down in this class with Dr. Henry down in Middle Tennessee State University in Murfreesboro. And Dr. Henry said, pull out a sheet of paper. We are going to take a pop quiz. And this was day 1. We hadn't gone over the syllabus. We hadn't done anything. And I'm pulling out a sheet of paper for a pop quiz. And I did really well. And I realized that everything had led up to me being a geographer. And that when he started talking, yes, I took notes and things, but it just came so easy. And it didn't even feel like work. It just clicked. And I knew without a doubt, I was in the right spot. I was in the right career. And then I found Macomb as an adjunct. I came in here. I think I taught 1 or 2 classes here, like for 2 or 3 days total. And I went home and I told my family, I've found what I want to do. I want to introduce students to this incredible world that we all live in and find out ways to work together and to make it a better place. And I just love what I do. So, and I love my colleagues, and Macomb's just a great place. And I'm so glad y'all are on this call tonight. So Angie, I'll throw it back to you for the next question.
Thank you. That was really interesting. So the next question is, what would you say contributes most to student success in your classrooms?
So I think the thing about English classes that I notice the most with students who are coming to college, a lot of times for their first year, and English is usually a class that you take in your very first semester. And what I see so often on the first day is a line of students after the end of the first class. We talk about the syllabus, we talk about the kinds of assignments we're going to be doing and how the class is going to be running for the semester. And inevitably there's a line of students at the end that come up to me and they're nervous. And they say, I just don't think I'm a good writer. I just don't know. I'm really nervous about this class. And I don't know where along the lines this happens. So I think one of the first things that I try to do, and that's important in a writing class, is to reassure everyone that they're already writers. We're all already writing all the time in so many different ways that you're probably taking for granted, or not even thinking about the fact that you're writing text messages or writing, you know, and I know you're all doing that. We're all doing that these days. Like, there's plenty of ways in which we are already writing. And I think that for students to feel like they can approach an English class, it's important for them to know that they are very capable of doing that. And I think a misconception too is that English classes are all about grammar and like, oh God, I just am not very good at English grammar. I don't know how to fix a run-on sentence. I don't know if I can do that. And, you know, English is funny because it's not like biology where there usually is one answer, or mathematics where there's usually one answer, or geography. These are fixed pieces of information that don't change, and there's not a lot of gray area. Maybe I'm wrong about this. I'll let my colleagues correct me. These are false assumptions. But you know, there's so much gray area in an English class that it's really important to me and I think to most of my English colleagues too, to like have a lot of flexibility, to embrace that gray area, to not think about good writing as having like one concrete correct answer all the time. And so students approach the writing process because they may feel that they are good at grammar, or they're not creative writers. And there's so many ways to be good writers that have to just do with, you know, tapping into the important and wonderful things you all have to say, and that you're all saying very naturally in other areas of your life already, that you can translate that into writing in our writing classes very easily. So I think that first step of saying you're already writers, you're already good writers, there may be some fine tuning, and we've got lots of opportunity for practice and growth, then that is a really great way to enhance or promote student success in English classes. And in my classes, I really work alongside students to help them like make decisions about their own learning and their own process in writing and working through different assignments. I'm much more of like a facilitator or a guide, and students make a lot of their own choices. Like, what topic are you going to write about? I don't know. It's up to you. I want students to explore their interests and their passions and tap into their own creativity and their own, you know, sort of ideas about the world. And I'm just there as a guide or a facilitator to give feedback. And it's a much more collaborative process in my classes. And I think that has worked really well. It's been a bit of a challenge in the virtual environment, to be honest. I'm teaching all online classes, and it's hard to get some of that face-to-face, one-on-one interaction. It's certainly possible, but it is a little bit easier to get some of that one-on-one conferencing that helps with, you know, growing and developing someone as a writer. But I think that, you know, there's still opportunities for that, and definitely in-person classes, there's lots of opportunities, but I really like students to have a lot of ownership over their own writing and learning processes. That's super important to me. And, you know, I even allow students to revise all of their assignments if they want to, and that's completely optional. So students get to try again and again. These writing processes are not linear, where it's like you start from point A and once you get to point B, boom, you have a perfect piece of writing. That's just not how it works in a writing class. It's going to ebb and flow, and there's going to be, you know, opportunities to do something again and again, so that students can really decide how much they want to work at a certain process or a certain piece of writing. And I think that having those choices and those options work the best in our field anyway. So that's all on my end. I'll hand it over to you again, Chad.
All right, so for this question, maybe let me read it one more time. It says, what would you say contributes most to student success in your classes? This reminds me of, got a little story here for you. My aunt, my one aunt is a teacher, and I think she still does. She might have just retired. Teaches at Madonna in Livonia, Kathy Turnquist, and she teaches nursing classes. And she would always ask me, have you done your homework? Chad, have you done your homework? Chad, you do your homework? And even when I was like 6 or 7, Chad, you do your homework? You do your homework? Always, always, always. And for math classes and talking with my colleagues, that's always the number one helper to do well in classes, to make sure that you do your homework. Oh, wow, now I'm sounding like my aunt. But homework is what really helps. And Macomb, it's nice that we have a learning center, and also to, you know, please feel free, if you take a class with me, please come see me. I love helping out before class, after class. I don't have to have office hours for you to come see me, for me to help you. I want you to understand the material. But the best thing is to do the homework and to go through the homework. And of course, if you have any questions, please come and see me. For my classes are a little bit unique to help understand the material. Other than doing the homework, the best thing is to show up to class. And the reason I say that is because when I run classes, I kind of run them a little bit differently. A lot of, probably what a lot of you guys see is in class, you guys have a professor or teacher that lectures, says things, and maybe you take notes, and then that's it. For me, I kind of border on organization and chaos most of the time. What I like doing is I like kind of going over a little bit, then I put some examples up on the board. We go through 1 or 2 of them as a class, as a group. I ask you guys questions. I ask tons of questions. How do you do this? What would you do next? Why did you do that? What do you think we should do next? How did you come to that conclusion? And then after I go through a couple, then I put a couple more in there and say, all right, now you guys try. And I give the whole class time, have everybody work on it. I walk around, look at what people have, make comments on, you know, stuff that they do. And then after I see that most everybody has completed it, then I ask the class, you know, would anybody like to come up to the board and show their work? You know, you can bring your notebook. You don't have to have anything memorized. Bring your notebook, write it down. And a lot of times too, if I see some students who are, especially had like a really good answer and it has it very well shown out in their work, I say, you know, would you mind if you came up to the front and showed it? Now, also too, I understand that not everybody is, you know, like for me, I teach, I stand in front of everybody, just like now I'm talking to you guys here. Not everybody likes that. A lot of people hate public speaking or standing in front of everybody. So if a student doesn't want to do that, that's fine. It doesn't hurt them. It's not, you know, they don't have to go up to the front. It's not going to hurt their grade. But I like giving this opportunity, for one, to show, you know, the good work that you've done, that people can appreciate it. 2, that they can see how the problem is done correctly. And also 2, it's kind of like a little test. You don't get graded for it. You know, you're not going to get ridiculed for anything that you do wrong. And everybody makes mistakes. I make a ton of them in front of the class. But, you know, like when you have the test in front of you, if you had that little push where you're now kind of stepping out of your comfort zone and now working on some problems that, you know, you do kind of have the answers there because you brought your notebook up to the front of the class, but it's still, you know, it's a little bit nerve wracking there. You're standing in front of everybody, but it kind of like gets you more ready for, you know, a little bit more stressful situations. And a lot of times those students who do come up to the front, a lot of times do well in the class. And 2, with that, a lot of times, is I have had some classes where there's some very exceptional students where if nobody knows the problem, the class will just say, oh, well, ask this person, he knows how to do it. And then of course they'll come up to the front and show everybody how to do it correctly. But anyway, so yeah, that's how I like running my classes. I think it's a good way to, in a roundabout way, kind of get everybody to get to know each other, even though you're not actually introducing yourselves, and to be a little bit more familiar with each other and with the subject of mathematics. And hopefully, I think it does help everybody learn better too, because it's a more friendly, familiar environment for everybody. So I hope that helps. Mary Jo, on to you.
In terms of being successful in a science class, especially, but when you're taking classes in high school, usually you have that class for the whole year, but in college, it's 15, 16 weeks. Organization is basically the name of the game, making sure you're staying on task and following the schedule, and being able to chunk out information in smaller pieces so that you're learning little bits so your brain doesn't get overwhelmed with the immensity of the amount of material that you're trying to cover, and rehearsing it over and over again, especially in my anatomy classes, which is memorization. So being organized, and asking for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I can speak for everybody here in terms of my colleagues saying, we are here to help you. I'm like Chad, I'll get on a Zoom call. If my students can't get on a call with me during my office hours, I'll set something else up. We want you to know the material, and we want to do everything we can to help you understand that. So reach out. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mike.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to be short and sweet and straightforward and to the point. I'm old, so I can make up words, I guess. I'm not a big work giver outer kind of person. Yeah, I mean, I've got to do some assessment and that's fine, but then there's like a fine line between, just drowning students in work. So, I mean, I'm not going to drown, and I never drown students in work ever. But I would just say the biggest thing that will contribute to success, bar none, is showing up, engaging in the material, engaging with me. And, just kind of getting we got to get in the groove with each other. I'm a good storyteller. I don't know if it's the Italian thing or whatnot, but I'm a pretty good storyteller. And I'd like to think, well, I know it's not going to be as exciting, but I like to think my classes are also kind of structured like Game of Thrones or any of these like serialized shows that are on TV. But, we're going to tell some stories. We're going to bring in some characters. We're going to get rid of some characters. Again, it's kind of like Game of Thrones, but hopefully it's exciting. But I just think the greatest thing that will contribute to success, just be there, just engage with me. I mean, take notes, get in the zone, see where I'm going with stuff, see what phrases I repeat over and over. And, I think I'm pretty straightforward, but what I think doesn't matter. What you think, I think, is all that matters. So, I mean, if students have any questions, comments, concerns, if there's anything that I wasn't clear on, or if my accent killed some word, I mean, whatever it is, please come on by. My office, fine with Zoom, whatever's, we can do email, but I mean, just ask away. I'm here to help you. I mean, again, I know what I'm talking about, but I don't matter. You matter, and you knowing it is what matters. So just, engage, get in the zone with me, and ask questions. That's about it. All right, Rebecca, on to you, my friend.
All right. So yes, everything my colleagues have said, go to class, read the material, pay attention to due dates, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask. If you're wondering, there's probably 4 or 5 other people that are wondering and all feel silly asking. So please ask. Personally, in my class, put it in quotes if it's not your words. Don't get caught trying to take credit for something that's not your own brilliant idea, but put it in quotes. And then in geography also, don't be afraid to go down the rabbit holes. If you're doing some research and you find something kind of cool, you're checking out the Notre Dame Cathedral that burned down, and next thing you know, you're in the catacombs, and then before you know it, you're in the subway, and then you're in the sewers with Queen Victoria touring them a couple 100 years ago. What in the world? But you can take all these different rabbit holes, and in the end, it just makes you love Paris even more after you've done it all, and kind of ties it up in a big red shiny bow and gets all your ideas interconnected. And that's very important in geography. So.
Well, thank you all very much. I really want to make sure we get to the student questions.
I know we had a question in regards to, and I don't know if it was answered offline, but we have a question about what you can do with an associate's degree in English.
Yeah, Olivia, thank you for that question. So I know I referenced the program, and I'll start by saying the program was designed to be a transfer degree program. So we're working with the Michigan Transfer Agreement, and I see someone else has a question about that as well, so that it's easily transferable to Wayne State and to Oakland University. So it's sort of designed for transferability, but it also covers what most employers identify as the most important skills for new employees to have, which is oral and written communication, critical thinking skills and analytical skills, problem solving, and critical reading skills. And so these kinds of skills are going to be useful in a lot of entry-level jobs across so many different disciplines and fields. So it's really applicable in that way from an entry-level standpoint for new positions or internships with local newspapers, for example, or even schools possibly. So many positions require communication skills. So it's certainly valuable in that regard, but the program truly was designed to be, to kind of dovetail with either an English degree, a bachelor's degree in English, or an education degree, a bachelor's degree in like education, or even business for that matter, marketing, advertising. English degree and at the associate level is going to just really be a fabulous like foundational degree for so many different career paths. Pre-law even was another one that we determined would be, you know, very complementary to the English degree. So I hope that answers your question. I will type my email address in the chat right now. If you want to reach out to me directly, I'd be so excited to talk to you about the English degree even further. So thanks, Olivia.
Great, thank you. So another question would be, what advice would you give a student who knows that they're interested in arts and sciences, but they really don't know what they want to study? Kind of leave it up to anyone who wants to answer that one.
I guess I'll go ahead and start with this. For it, I would just say, try taking some classes, do some different things, see what you like, see what you don't like, get involved in different things on campus. There's a lot of different, maybe sports teams, or also there's like different groups, and student life has a lot of things going on. Before COVID, we had an alternative spring break that I was a part of that was great. Just try a lot of different things. See, because I mean, even too, like for my road, you know, I was going pre-med, and then I did something completely different. You know, it's because I tried something different and I loved it. So that would be my advice for you.
Hey, Chad, I'll add on too. I would say call up the instructors. You know, their numbers are all there on Macomb's website. And I have had students call me and say, hey, I'm thinking about your class, but I'm thinking about this poli-sci class, or I'm thinking about an economics class or a history class. Can you tell me some more about how you run your class? I've had students say, could you show me a syllabus or a first day handout from the previous semester, so I kind of have an idea of, you know, if you do more papers, or do you more discussions, or are you a presentation kind of person? And I think those questions are perfectly fine to ask. If you know there's certain things that you excel better at and you're nervous about a class, talking to that instructor and kind of getting an idea of how that course runs might be really beneficial.
Great, thank you so much. All right, so what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and answer the remainder of the questions either via chat, or we'll follow up with everybody once the presentation is over and follow up with you tomorrow. But we're going to go ahead and continue the presentation. So I want to say thank you for everybody for participating tonight with the Discover Macomb event. We want you to watch your email for information for how do you apply for admissions, strategies for leaving Macomb debt-free, due enrollment, campus life, and student resources. There's going to be a $50 bookstore gift card. There's one bookstore card or gift card that will be awarded tonight after tonight's Discover Macomb event. The drawing for this will be held tomorrow, so make sure you check your email. We also have a $500 Macomb scholarship for every Discover Macomb event that a student attends. You're going to receive one entry into the scholarship drawing. The drawing will be held on March 7th, and the winner again will be notified via email. We have another upcoming Discover Macomb event for Health and Human Services. It's going to be Thursday, March 3rd at 7 p.m. Again, if you'd like to register, go ahead and scan that QR code that you find on the bottom of the screen, or you can go to www.macomb.edu/admissions events in order to register. This will conclude our presentation. So I want to say thank you for everybody who participated tonight. And if you have any additional questions, please check your email tomorrow and we can follow up from there. Thank you so much.